Good afternoon, everyone. Today's date is June 17th, 2026, and we have a couple of topics to discuss. The first being the severe weather outbreak that will likely occur across parts of the Midwest and Ohio Valley today, and the second topic being Tropical Storm Arthur, which is now just off the coast of Texas. Now, taking a look at the severe weather risk for today on Wednesday. So we have a level 4 to 5 moderate risk in the red color here across Illinois and Indiana, and then enhanced risk in the orange color across parts of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. And then we also have a level 2 out of 5 slight risk in the yellow color, and then a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk in the green color here. And so if we take a look down here, we also have a slight risk across areas of Louisiana and Mississippi, and a marginal risk around that, and that is for Tropical Storm Arthur, and that will mainly be for a tornado risk down here. If we go back up here and take a look at our tornado risk for today across these areas, we have a SIG 2 risk in that outlined area with the slashed lines, and also a 15% risk in the red color, and then a 10% risk in the yellow color, a 5% risk in the brown, and a 2% tornado risk in the green color. And the outlined area with the dashed lines, that represents a SIG 1 risk of tornadoes across those areas outlined there. Now, if we take a look at our southern area here into Louisiana and Mississippi, we have a 5% tornado risk here, along with a 2% tornado risk around that in the green color. And now taking a look at our wind risk, we have a 30% wind risk, along with a SIG 1 hatched area here all the way really from Kansas up into Ohio. And along with that, we have the yellow risk, which is a 15% wind risk, and the brown color, which is a 5% wind risk. And down into the deep south, we also have a 5% wind risk here as well. Finally, taking a look at the hail risk, we have a SIG 1 risk in the hatched area here, and also a 30% hail risk in the red color, a 15% risk of hail in the yellow color, and a 5% hail risk in the brown color. Starting off with the severe weather outbreak possibility today. So if we take a look at the latest HRRR run that we have out right now. So this is about right now across Illinois, into Indiana, and even into southeast Iowa. We have some storms ongoing now with a wind risk, mainly with these at the moment. And these will kind of be our initial storms for the day. And as these continue on to the east, you could see some more forming along kind of this leading line of storms up in here into central or north central Illinois, and even up here into Iowa as well. But then as we go into about 3 p.m., 2:33 p.m. Central Daylight Time, you'll start to get these storms to develop. And these are the ones that we're going to need to watch for that tornado risk, along with the hail and wind risk. So these will continue to kind of move and sag to the southeast, and these will continue to maintain their strength well into the afternoon and even evening hours across Illinois, Missouri, even parts of Kansas as well, up into Indiana. Just a pretty messy line of storms, but these will likely have embedded supercells within them, and that is where the tornado risk is the highest within these maybe even semi-discrete supercells that can develop along and within this line of storms. But as we go further into the evening, as we get to about 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time, still have plenty of storms stretching across these areas. Even some storms ongoing even up into Michigan, all the way from northwest Ohio, all the way down into Missouri, even some sections of Oklahoma. And those will continue to move to the south and maintain their strength for the most part on the HRRR model into Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. And finally, by about 3 a.m. tomorrow morning, Central Daylight Time, these will finally start to kind of weaken a little bit, but still you could have a pretty strong line of storms making its way into southern Illinois, southern Indiana, even into Kentucky, Missouri, and the these could pack a punch well into the early morning hours tomorrow on Thursday. So what does a low level jet look like for this system today? So as we go into about 3 and 4 p.m. Central Daylight Time, we have this pretty strong low level jet. I mean, we have a 60, almost 70 knot low level jet in some areas into Indiana, and this will do nothing but just enhance this tornado risk across these areas, provided enough storm fuel instability in these areas, and this could be a pretty impactful event across these areas, given this scenario here, especially into June, like we're seeing, which is kind of a unusual time of year to see this sort of system across this area. But nonetheless, this will just help to increase this tornado risk, unfortunately, across much of these areas where you see that yellow and orange color, which is a very strong low level jet. And this will continue all the way into the evening and nighttime hours. And I think a tornado risk will probably continue with that line of storms that will sag south throughout the late evening hours and early into tomorrow morning. So we'll have to continue to monitor those throughout the day. Now, taking a look at the day 2 severe weather risk, and this is for Thursday on the 18th. And so we have a slight risk across much of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, and this will be for that system that is moving through today and will move through these areas tomorrow, along with this marginal risk down here. And this will be mainly for Tropical Storm Arthur once it makes its way further inland. So if we look at our tornado risk, we have this 2% risk across parts of the deep south and into parts of the southeast. And this is once again for Tropical Storm Arthur. And so we take a look at our wind risk as well. We have that 15% wind risk up here into the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. And that's once again for that system that's moving through today across the Ohio Valley. Then if we look at our hail risk, we just have this 5% hail risk across Oklahoma and Texas for tomorrow. Now kind of switching towards Tropical Storm Arthur, and as you can see here off the coast of Texas, we have Arthur here, and you can kind of see the low level circulation here a little bit, kind of in this area. And so we have some pretty strong development of rain bands, and really the stronger side of this storm is on the eastern side, which is a lot more healthier at the moment. But if we take a look at the latest outlook by the National Hurricane Center here, so here's the cone of uncertainty, and this doesn't represent the areas that will be impacted by the storm. It just represents the potential path this storm could take. So as you can see here, as of the latest 11 a.m. update, this has max winds of 40 miles per hour and gusts up to 52 miles per hour. And so Arthur will eventually reach kind of that tropical depression status once it gets further into the southeast areas of Texas. And then it will continue to move into Louisiana, and this will be a tropical depression by this point, once again with wind gusts around 35 miles per hour as this moves farther inland. And eventually it'll lose its tropical characteristics, but it'll still carry a lot of rain across these areas into the deep south, and will also deliver that tornado risk tomorrow across parts of the deep south. So now if we go ahead and take a look at the Weather Prediction Center and look at the excessive rainfall outlook, as you can see, we have a moderate risk of excessive rainfall across the deep south into Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. And so as we go into Thursday as well, we have another moderate risk where we could see much more rain across these areas into the deep south, into Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia as well, along with more rain associated with this system, along kind of with this other system into these areas, into the mid-south and the central U.S. So if we get into Friday, we have another moderate risk across Alabama, Mississippi, parts of Georgia as well, and even the Florida panhandle. And so once again, just got to keep watching out for these storms and really keeping up to date with your weather warnings and everything that's going on in your area with this storm system. So let's take a look at the latest HRRR model, or run, I should say, that's goes out enough where we can see this storm. So as we get into this evening and tonight, we see these rain bands from this storm begin to impact, or really already impacting much of Louisiana, southern Louisiana. Then as we get into tomorrow on Thursday, we could see a little bit more or a greater surge of moisture into this area, and that's really we're going to have to watch out for our flooding risk across these areas. Then as we get into about midday tomorrow, we have quite a few storms and coverage of rain across these areas, especially in that area. We could see that tornado risk. Take a look at our upper level winds real quick. And as you can see, we have a 30-40 knot low level jet, and that is plenty enough for a tornado risk for tomorrow. So we'll have to watch out for that. It's not going to be a widespread risk, but the risk is still there for the low end risk is still there for a tornado. So as we go into tomorrow afternoon and evening, you can kind of see that low level circulation there as it goes into kind of near Atlanta on the HRRR. Still, this will deliver quite a bit of rain across the deep south and a good bit of rain across the southeast as well as we go into Thursday and Friday. So we take this back here. We'll take a look at the wind gust on the HRRR model real quick. Take a look at gust here. We go to this afternoon and evening. We already have 20-30 mile per hour wind gusts across much of Louisiana. Then as we go into really early tomorrow morning, you could see that surge of winds, that wind gusts into the 30-40 mile per hour range into Mississippi, into Alabama as well by tomorrow lunchtime. Widespread 30-40 mile per hour wind gust. Then as we go further into about 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time tomorrow, 20-30 mile per hour wind gust will be kind of widespread across much of North Carolina, parts of the southeast, and especially the deep south. And as we go further into tomorrow evening and early Friday, you can see that wind gust pick up. You can see those wind gusts pick up across the Carolinas and Georgia as well as the system starts to make its way off into the Atlantic. So to wrap things up for today, just quickly looking at the OOZ European run, model run for today. And so as you can see, this is going to be Tropical Storm Arthur eventually as we get to Friday morning, and then right about 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Friday. And so one thing we'll have to watch here is really watch and see if this storm is able to strengthen once it gets off the coast of the southeast, because the waters here still, they're not very, very warm, but they're warm enough for tropical development. So that's one thing we may have to watch. This thing could strengthen back into maybe a tropical depression or tropical storm by the time we get into maybe Friday afternoon or evening across or really out from the coast of the southeast. So that's just one thing we'll have to watch with this storm. I'm not saying it will re-intensify for sure, but it still has that possibility to intensify back again into a tropical storm. So we'll have to continue to watch that.